A plain-looking guy says he will protect the young lady no matter what happens, but then a small girl says good luck, which made him to smile. Afterwards the commander in the enemy army gets shocked. Because that plain guy suddenly appeared in front of him, even after feeling the chills the plain guy, he still goes in for the attack, but feeling unfazed by that attack, he uses a named attack, which is called light step speed. As a result he stands on the spear and slightly taps the enemy on his head, which then knocked him out, and the other knights is shocked to see the fight to over in an instant. And he quickly realizes that it's the sword saint. Afterwards in the time back at the Japan he was whining about the test that was in the next week, and he goes on by wishing to get reincarnated into the other world, but he missed to see the light to cross the road was in red, and by the time he realizes it, that was too late, and the truck Kuan had already did his job. As a result, while holding his last breath he thoughts to himself that his body is not moving at all. Afterwards he wakes up with a shock and he goes on by thinking that he just got hit by a truck. All of a sudden he gets more shocked to see an old man standing in front of him. He then realizes that he's at a cloud above a city. Afterwards that old man started to poke him with the stick he has by saying that the kids these days are really loud, also he will fall down if he moves around quickly. To which he replies him to stop by calling him an old fart. As a result that old man says he is a god, which then made him to get disappointed. And he goes on by saying that his grandmother told him to not believe anyone who is calling themselves a god, which then made that god to remember an old lady started to get angry after realizing he is a god, which shocked the MC since he realizes that it's his grandmother because she used to say that she will shout at God when she meets him. As a result he started to believe that that old man is a god. Afterwards that god sits on a chair saying that they should get into the business now, also he is the one that killed him. And he goes on by asking his name. And after hearing his name, the god says he accidentally blowed his candle while, when he wanted to blow out the other guy whose name is also the same as the MC. So as an apology he wants him to send to another world, which made the MC to get happy. As a result he gets excited. The god then goes on by saying that he will give him some extra powers so he don't die there. And he goes on by telling him to ask any type of power. He then with an excitement asked the god to make him the strongest swordsman, like really a powerful one. To which the god replies if he is not embarrassed to ask that. And he still says he wants to make everyone to get shocked after seeing his power. In the end he started to write something in a paper, and asks the MC to take it with him and give to a guy who will make him his disciple after reading this letter, so until he is qualified as the strongest swordsman he will be training under that guy, which shocked MC since he have to train to earn that. That god then goes on by telling him to give that letter to the guy he will meet first. Afterwards he quickly removes a part of the cloud and sends the MC away. After that he suddenly got teleported into a forest, and he was confused because there is no one here to give this letter to. As a result he started to shout, but then someone suddenly stands behind him silently. And he says he felt something off in this direction and as his thought someone is here. But then he quickly finds out that the MC is from the another world. Meanwhile MC first impression is that he is standing on that thin branch. Afterwards that guy gets down. And he says MC doesn't look like a dangerous guy. He then says he will take him to the humans village if he wants. And for someone like him it will take 7 days to reach there. MC gets shocked since he is the teacher. But this confused that boy. But then MC gets disappointed since it was this kid who is going to be his teacher. And then he realizes on what that god says, which is to give him that letter. After receiving it he reads it. After reading it he gets irritated. And then he gets more mood out since he have to train him until he became the strongest swordsman who will shock everyone after seeing his skills. After seeing that kid's reaction MC realizes that nobody likes that god. In the end he accepts that quest to make him as his disciple. In the end he gets excited while saying that his training will be really tough. But MC got shocked since he is actually going to train him rather than giving him a skill. With a confident he explains he can become a strongest if he trains for 500 years. Which shocked him, and he asks that kid that he will die off old age before that, to which he replies there is nothing to worry since he won't age if he trains with him. And that 500 years will end in an instant. Which made MC to cry because all he wanted is to flirt with girls. Afterwards that guy says he has been training in here for 1,000 years, also his training is not going to end any sooner. Meanwhile MC is full of despair. Afterwards he started to jump around the trees and he arrives at his house, picks up a wood. Meanwhile MC was out of his breath saying how did he move like that? To which he replies he used light steps, and if he learns that, he can also move like him, which shocks MC because he is not having a feeling that he could learn something like that. Afterwards he gives that wood to MC by saying that he will be using it to do practice swings in that until the sun sets, and that will be his daily routine until he says stop. Which shocks MC since he asked him to do it daily. Afterwards he shows him on how to do it, also while doing it he should try to remember to become a sword, and as long as he could remember it he will get stronger. That's how MC's 500 years training began. He started to do the training with his master. After waking up, his first thing he will do was starting the training, but that hardship started to fade when the years passes. Even without eating he trained for days. Also his master told him that sage doesn't need food because they live off consuming something called kasumi. In the end all he did was just training. As the time goes his dress got torn apart so he started to wear the same dress as his master. Also his memories started to fade. In the end 500 years had passed. Even still he feels like he is not holding a candle against his master who is also swinging swords besides him every day. At one day when he thought he needed more training he felt something entering the forest. So he calls his master and they started to dash towards it. Meanwhile his master was saying that they haven't had anything unexpected to come in here after the MC's arrival. Afterwards MC says he can also sense 2 weak presence in addition to a bunch of wolves. After arriving in there, they realizes a girl is getting eaten by some wolves, which then made his master to realize that they are late. Afterwards they gets down from that tree. After seeing them wolves left the place. MC then sees a baby in there, which was alive, to which his master tells him to grow that child. And he goes on by saying that he can't sense anything powerful on that baby but it still got some magic essence so which means it must be from this world. Also it will be good if that baby gets raised among humans so as a sage he should raise this child. And he asks MC to take it as a training too. Plus he had already trained for 500 years so compared to a normal person he is already more than qualified to be called as the strongest in this world. He then asks him to raise that child as his own child, to which he accepts. Afterwards they buried that girl, while his master is saying that her kid is going to be taken care by the best disciple so she shouldn't worry. After seeing that baby MC started to smile. Afterwards his master tells him to not return until that baby dies of old age. And he goes on by asking him to not worry since that time will pass in an instant for both of them. In the end he leaves and he goes on by saying that their new life is beginning from here onwards, and to take care of her, he decides to find a job first. After running for a while she started to cry so he started to listen on what's going on, which made him to realize that she is hungry. But then he got sad because he doesn't have any breast milk to give her. Afterwards he sees a village in a distance. He arrives there and that girl from there was shocked to hear his wife got collapsed in the forest. And as she can see he have nothing in his hand, also nothing to feed his child with too, so he asks that lady to breastfeed his baby too. To which she accepts his request. Afterwards she started give what he asked. She then goes on by saying that there are no jobs that pays well are here. Also he looks like a young guy so he might have good luck to find a job if he goes to the capital. She then points him the direction on where the capital is. After saying it she goes into her house while asking the MC to wait outside. Meanwhile MC is wondering that he had no clue about the society here because he spent 500 years not stepping outside. And now he is being expected to raise a child. But then he suddenly gets happy. Afterwards that lady comes out and gives him some goat milk, which will be just enough for the baby to drink until he reaches the capital. Which shocked MC. In the end he accepts it, by saying that he will never forget her kindness, to which she taps on his shoulders by telling him to get going already. As a result he leaves the place. But he quickly moves and after seeing his speed she was left speechless. Meanwhile he thoughts to himself that he will one day repay this favor to her. Afterwards there were a carriage going in front of him, but MC easily jumps over it. Inside there, a girl notices MC, and also the farmers who saw him started to wonder if it's a bird or something. Suddenly MC realizes that someone is trying to kill him, and that someone asks MC to wait so he quickly stops. After seeing her landing, he tells to her that he is impressed to see that magic she is using. She just asks him to be silent, and she goes on by saying that this crest on the carriage is something he shouldn't jump on. Also for this offense he did, his arm should be cut off. Because he is carrying a baby she will give him some sympathy. He then quickly apologizes to her but that girl just asks MC to follow her. As a result they arrives to another girl. But she is sitting there with an attitude, but that girl tells MC to apologize now. To which he says he wasn't aware of the crest because he was a countryside guy. But that girl started to mock MC by saying he is not better than an ape for not knowing the least manners. Meanwhile MC is smiling while bowing down to her, which she notices it, and then she gets down from the carriage and asks the MC's name. Afterwards he tells her his name but then she realizes his name is not from this region. Also he looks like someone who has an unstable life, so he should come with her and she will give him a job if he passes some tests. Afterwards with grin in her face she asks him if it's amenable. Which made MC to think that she is really a good person because she is offering work for a shabby guy like him, but that night girl was shocked. In the end she says her name with a declaration of she might become his boss, so he should remember her name. But that night girl couldn't able to take it, so she asks her to stop because he looks like a low life. To which she replies that she already took a decision so it won't change. Also she suddenly asks MC to show his hand. So he shows her his hand. After seeing it she finds out that his hand looks like it knows how to hold a sword. Even though he appears to be the same age as her. Meanwhile he thoughts that he is the oldest human being here, and he goes on by deciding not to tell the truth because they won't believe it anyway. She then suddenly tells to her knights that this ape doesn't have any magic essence on him, which shocks her because he was jumping like that without a magic power. But then MC decides to not tell anything to them right now even though he can't understand what they are saying. Also his master told him that only some of them in this world uses sorcery, but still in this world 99% of the people can use magic, but that 1% who doesn't have a magic essence can't use anything, so to fill that gap they go through some type of rituals. So which means his sorcery also falls under this category. She then goes on by saying if that ape can use it, they can employ it. To which he happily replies that job offer she is giving is itself enough for him. In the end they arrives at the capital. MC gets happy to see this big place, after seeing his reaction to everything. Night Girl explains he looks more interested to see the place rather than this beautiful princess. To which she replies it's okay because he is a countryside guy, so he will get excited to see something big, and she goes on by thinking whether if her father and her brother are doing fine. After getting down MC thoughts to himself that he feels like he is getting to the real part now. Afterwards they arrives in a mansion and the butler slowly lets her to get down. They then asks her on who he is, to which she asks the butler to take him to the baby room, which made MC to think that she is a good person even though she is still calling him a ape. In the end that baby started to cry, so a maid takes that baby. Suddenly her father and her brother comes out of that house, by saying it's been long, to which she says it back. Which shocks MC since they look like a real nobles. Suddenly she started to introduce MC to them by saying that she picked this ape in the wild. Also it looks like it can use some rare sorcery, so she wants him to make him as her personal escort. After hearing it both of them get serious and they started to take out their swords, which shocks MC because he realizes the maids are running away. But then her brother asks him to die since it looks like he is making a move on her sister. Also her father is angry too. In the end they started to charge at MC, but MC was left speechless. He then quickly changes his expression by saying he will get serious. As a result he defeats them in an instant. Which shocks that night girl, while the princess gets impressed. Meanwhile MC started to wonder if it's really okay for him to use sword without saying anything. On the other hand they were left speechless. To which she thinks that she actually picked up someone pretty amazing. Suddenly her father started shout by demanding him to say on who he is, which made that girl to cry, so he silently asks her to explain him and why this guy will be staying in their mansion, which she accepts. All of a sudden her brother comes back wearing fully equipped, and he explains that he will launch a surprise attack on him like this. So he should fight him while having that in his mind. Afterwards her father started to say he will have no intention to say no to his daughter's promise. Also he doesn't believe he is an assassin because he looks really plain to be one. So he wants someone that can fight to be served in their family. As a result MC decides to show his full power this time, otherwise they might not hire him. Also her father tightly holds his shoulders, which made him to realize that they are trying to kill him. Suddenly that maid asks him and what is his daughter's name, to which he decides her name right there and says it's Rain. But then that maid asks the baby to see her father for the last time. After that her father asks him to make his death more painful as possible in one hit, to which he accepts. In the end they starts the fight. And that guy started to use his blazing fire attack on the MC. Meanwhile MC calmly gets his stands ready. He then quickly casts some energy on the sword and taps on her brother's head, and everyone was shocked to see it, but MC asked them isn't it supposed to be one-hit match? After seeing her brother lying down there, she says it's really boring to see MC to fight. Meanwhile her father realizes his son got knocked down even after wearing a helmet. Also it's not even sword and it's just a wooden sword. Still the princess is thinking it's really a dull fight. But her father started to panic by thinking if this goes on MC might take a romantic relationship with his daughter. So he quickly draws his sword. As a surprise attack he tries to attack MC, but MC dodges it and gives him an attack on his gut. As a result both of them got knocked down. In the end she once again confirms that he will be her escort and they should have no complaints about it. To which her father nods as a yes. Which then made MC to get happy. Suddenly maid asks the baby to look at his father because he survived. To which that baby started to blush while smile. He then goes on by thinking that he can now raise her now with no problem, but still the house he joined is a crazy place. But at that time he was anxious, but he didn't realize how good of a master she is going to be as a joke. since when he told her that sage can't be burned. She tried to burn him down with a smile. He then told her that sages don't get drowned either. She tried to drown him. Also, she is just a spoiled rich girl who does whatever she wants. Plus, in this kingdom there is a 4 noble families who carries the most influence in here. Since his current master is the next to heir the family, nobody talks bad about her, but still MC didn't try to run away is because Rain was in there. Even though he is being labeled as an unlearned guy, Rain still got a correct way of growing up with correct knowledge, so for someone who had nothing but sword in his hand, he could not have found nothing but a better place than this. Also, Princess liked his daughter and she will play with her sometimes. He also realizes that Night Girl is a good girl after being with her for a while, even though she is really young like her look. She is a prodigy at everything who also worked really hard to get in this position. And now they are like partners to him, and after her brother became the head of the family they had some trouble, so he had to fight of some royal guards. But MC decides to not explain about it, guys, so we can't see that fight. In the end, without his realization, 5 years had passed. And they are packing up their stuffs in a carriage.